You're not getting weaker because you're getting older. You're simply starting to see the truth more clearly, that the world doesn't wait, and the feeling of being left behind isn't failure. It's a wake-up call. In your youth, every day felt like a race. You tried to prove yourself, to be seen, to be validated. But after all that running, you still found yourself feeling lost, staring in the mirror, unsure of who you were becoming. Aging may slow the body, but it also opens something you never had before: depth. This video won't tell you to stay young forever or chase some outdated version of yourself. It will walk you through 7 powerful truths, grounded in Stoic philosophy, that can completely transform how you face time, change, and your own reflection. This isn't a feel-good speech. It's an invitation to clarity. If you've ever felt like life passed you by, if you've ever sat in silence and wondered, who am I now? This message is for you. So stay with me until the end. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss another Stoic insight, and drop a comment below to share your story. Because sometimes, your quiet truth might be the voice someone else desperately needs to hear. 1. Aging is not a decline. It is an evolution of the self. Have you ever held an old axe in your hands? The wooden handle is darkened by years of use. The blade no longer gleams like new, but the weight feels right, balanced, sharp, and reliable. You swing it once, and you know instantly, this is a tool that's been refined by time, not ruined by it. Human beings are much the same. Aging doesn't dull us, it shapes us. It reveals what's essential and strips away what isn't. What the world calls getting old, the Stoics would call transformation. Not a fall from power, but a quiet sharpening. As you grow older, you stop reacting to everything. You stop needing to prove your worth in every room. You stop rushing to fill the silence with noise. That's not because you've lost energy, it's because you've gained clarity. The culture around us pushes the opposite. It glorifies youth, speed, and the illusion of boundless potential. But potential without purpose is just chaos. There's something far more powerful about a man who knows what to say no to, who chooses his battles, who carries his past not as weight but as wisdom. That kind of presence can't be faked. It's not loud, it doesn't need applause, it just is. And yet most men fear the slow erosion of relevance. They fear being replaced, being overlooked, becoming invisible. But what if that invisibility isn't a curse? It's a clean slate. When you stop trying to be everything, you become what really matters. You gain the power to focus, to refine, to simplify. Just like the axe, you become more useful, not less. You stop chasing the crowd and start listening to your own instincts again. There's a quiet dignity in that. A power of getting older that few talk about. The ability to see through distractions, to detect what's real, to lead without controlling. Age brings emotional growth, not emotional noise. And in a world drowning in chaos, that kind of steady presence is rare and respected. A younger man may move faster, speak louder, and flash brighter. But speed isn't direction, volume isn't the truth, and shine fades. What endures is essence. And that's what age helps you uncover. It's time to shift the aging mindset. Getting older is not the beginning of decline. It's the beginning of depth. When you realize you don't need to keep up, you start to focus on what's actually worth your energy. You become selective, intentional. You protect your peace. You value silence over chatter, clarity over chaos, discipline over drama. And that is evolution. You don't need the same body you had at 20 to be powerful. What you need is presence, precision, perspective, and all of those are gifts of time, not youth. The Stoics never measured a man by his appearance. They measured him by how he thought, how he held himself, and how he responded to adversity. They knew that wisdom, like strength, doesn't come from resisting change, but from leaning into it and shaping it with discipline. So next time you feel behind, because your hair is thinner, your energy is lower, or your face is marked by time, stop. Ask yourself, have I lost anything that truly defines me? Or am I just shedding the layers I no longer need? You are not falling behind. You're falling into place. There's no deadline for growth. There's no expiration on value. You are not declining. You are refining. Let that truth sink in. Let it rearrange how you see the mirror, the calendar, and your own worth. This is your evolution, not in spite of age, but because of it. 2. Beauty has shifted from surface to soul. I remember panicking over the first few strands of gray hair. Maybe you've been there too, catching your reflection under harsh light, noticing the creases around your eyes or the skin under your jaw softening. It doesn't take much. One morning, you wake up and realize you're no longer the fresh face in the room. You start to feel like beauty is slipping away, like you're slowly fading into the background of a youth-obsessed world. But then something shifts. You begin to notice that the people who make you feel the safest, the calmest, the most understood, they're not the youngest. They're the ones who've lived, who've hurt, who've healed, and who no longer perform to be seen. There's a quiet transformation that comes with age. Beauty is no longer about symmetry, smoothness, or shine. It becomes something deeper. A presence, a tone of voice, the way someone listens without interrupting, the way they see you without needing to speak. Stoicism never chased youthful appearance. The Stoics understood that external beauty is temporary, but the soul, the character, the way you show up for life, that's where real beauty lives. And ironically, that kind of beauty only begins to emerge as the outer layers begin to fade. Think about it. A man in his 50s who speaks with kindness, who pauses before reacting, who doesn't need to win every argument, that man holds a different kind of power. Not loud, not flashy, but grounding. His value doesn't come from his face, but from his presence. He's not trying to impress anyone, and that's exactly what makes him unforgettable. It's the strength of someone who's built self-worth from within, not borrowed it from attention. That's the shift we rarely talk about, from surface to soul. In your younger years, maybe you thought beauty was something you had to earn through your looks, your charm, your clothes, your achievements. But now, if you're willing to look closer, you'll see it was never about having perfect skin or a flawless jawline. It was about how you made people feel when they were with you, and more importantly, how you made yourself feel when you were alone. Age doesn't take beauty away. It strips away the distractions, the performance, the insecurity, until only the real thing remains. The truth is, we all eventually lose the glow of youth. But some people become more luminous with time. Not because of creams or diets, but because of how they've learned to carry themselves. They've grown emotionally. They've detached from shallow expectations. They've embraced the Stoic wisdom that beauty is not in being admired, it's in being authentic. A person who stands firm in who they are, who shows kindness without agenda, who speaks less but means more. That person draws others in without trying. So if you find yourself grieving your younger appearance, stop and ask, was it ever about the look, or was it about what you believed that look gave you? Acceptance, attention, worth. Because if it's worth you're after, know this. It doesn't live in the mirror. It lives in your voice, your eyes, and your energy, in how you treat people when no one's watching. That's what the Stoics knew. And that's what people remember long after the smooth skin fades. Let your face tell your story. Let the wrinkles show you've laughed. Let the tired eyes reveal that you've stayed up for people you love. Let your voice slow down, not because you're weak, but because you've learned the value of saying less. That is the beauty of getting older, not the loss of youth, but the discovery of truth. Not surface, but soul. And when you live from that place, you don't need to compete. You just need to be. And that right there is where real beauty begins. 3. Your body is not betraying you, it is speaking to you. You bend down to grab your shoes, and something in your lower back snaps. Just a quick jolt, but enough to make you wince. Later that day, you climb a flight of stairs and pause halfway, breathless, surprised. You're not sick, you're not old, not really. But something feels different, off. And your first reaction? Frustration. You scold your body, call it weak, maybe even curse under your breath. Then you go online, search for fixes, supplements, high-intensity workouts, and quick hacks. Anything to undo what feels like a betrayal. But what if your body isn't turning against you? What if it's simply tired of being ignored? Most of us push through pain, drown out fatigue with caffeine, and varied exhaustion with deadlines. We treat the body like a machine that must perform or be punished. But that mindset isn't a strength, it's disconnection. Your body is not a liability, it's a living compass. It responds, adapts, and protects you, even when you don't listen. And when it slows down, it's not breaking, it's asking. asking for better sleep, for cleaner fuel, for gentler movement, for stillness after years of overextension. It's not weak, it's wise. The Stoics understood that control does not mean domination. They never advocated for force over nature. They taught collaboration with the mind, the moment, and the body. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote of treating the body with care but not worship, as a vessel, not a god, yet still worthy of respect. Picture a horse that has carried you across thousands of miles. It stumbles once and you raise the whip. But would you rather push it until it collapses or pause, remove the saddle and let it breathe? Your body is that horse. It has pulled you through years of ambition, stress, and sacrifice. Now, it's simply asking you to notice it before it collapses under unrelenting pressure. Aging doesn't mean your body is giving up. It means it's changing pace and inviting you to change with it. That's not failure, that's feedback. And the moment you start listening instead of resisting, things shift. You choose to walk instead of sprint. You stretch instead of straining. You sleep because it helps you think better, not because rest is earned through exhaustion. You eat not to look a certain way, but to feel steady, light, and clear. These are not signs of weakness, they are signs of growth, of learning to live with your body, not against it. That's what emotional growth through aging really looks like. A softer form of strength, rooted in awareness. There's an old saying, the body keeps the score, but it also sends the messages. Every ache, every tight joint, every restless night, they're signals, not punishments. Your body doesn't speak in words, it speaks in tension, fatigue, and breath. And the more you ignore it, the louder it gets. Stoicism doesn't demand you master your body. It invites you to steward it, to meet its signals with calm instead of panic, with discipline instead of denial. You are not supposed to operate the same way at 50 as you did at 25. That's not a decline, that's design. You are evolving mentally, emotionally, physically, and that evolution asks you to adapt. What once was about pushing boundaries is now about protecting energy. And there is power in that pivot. A calm, unshakable power that comes from recognizing your body as your lifelong partner, not your enemy. So the next time something aches, don't rush to fix it. Sit with it. Ask what it's trying to say. Maybe it's telling you to rest, maybe it's asking for stillness, or maybe it just wants you to stop fighting and start listening. Because when you do, your body won't resist. It will respond. Not with perfection, but with trust. And that trust, that renewed relationship, is one of the greatest strengths you'll ever reclaim. 4. Being forgotten frees you from proving anything. Do you remember the name of your third-grade teacher? Maybe not. But you probably remember the moment she placed a hand on your shoulder and said, "You did well." You might remember how that one sentence lit something in you, something small but steady, a belief that you were capable. You forgot her name, but you never forgot what she gave you. That's the strange power of quiet impact. It doesn't always get remembered. It doesn't have to. The truth is, most of us will be forgotten. Our names will fade from group chats, holiday cards, maybe even our family stories. But once you stop fearing that, once you stop chasing permanence, something liberating happens. You start living for what actually matters. Not your image, not your recognition, but your essence. We spend so much of our lives trying to prove something, that we're smart enough, attractive enough, successful enough to matter. But Stoicism strips that illusion away. It reminds us that legacy isn't what people say about you after you're gone. It's how you carry yourself while you're here. When you walk into a room without needing to dominate it. When you do good without the camera on. When you speak the truth even if no one quotes you for it later. That's real presence. And real presence doesn't demand memory. It simply leaves behind a feeling. Calm, clarity, warmth. In a world obsessed with branding and visibility, to be forgotten feels like failure. But what if it's the ultimate form of freedom? When no one's watching, you're no longer performing. When you stop chasing applause, you reclaim your energy. You live slower, but more sincerely. You stop polishing your story and start writing it honestly. You realize you don't need a stage, you just need a reason. There's something sacred about the quiet people who show up without making noise. The neighbor who checks in when your lights haven't come on. The colleague who doesn't compete but helps you finish. the father who doesn't talk much but always makes sure your car runs before a road trip. These are the people who rarely get the credit, and yet they shape us the most. They remind us that being seen is not the same as being significant. When you stop fearing obscurity, you start practicing self-mastery. You measure your day by integrity, not attention. You stop asking, "Will they remember me?" and start asking, "Did I live with purpose today?" That shift is powerful. It anchors you. It changes how you treat others and yourself. You forgive faster because there's no score to settle. You listen longer because you're not waiting for your turn to talk. You live simply because the performance is over. And what's left, the stripped down, unfiltered you, turns out to be enough. Epictetus taught that the only things we truly own are our thoughts, our choices, and our character. Not our titles, not our popularity, not even our reputation. So if one day your name is erased from the timeline, what of it? If you lived with compassion, with calm, with conviction, then you've already succeeded. Because the impact you had was never in the spotlight. It was in the shadow, where real influence lives. So the next time you feel like the world is moving on without you, remember, you're not here to be remembered. You're here to be real. And the people who matter, the ones truly awake, they'll sense your presence, not your profile. Let the chase end here. Let the proving stop. Just live well, live clearly, and trust that the quietest footprints often leave the deepest marks. 5. Grief is not a sign of weakness, it is the echo of love. There are quiet afternoons when you sit alone in a room that hasn't changed, but something is missing. The chair is still there, the photo frame hasn't moved, the old ticking clock still breaks the silence in slow, even beats. And then, without warning, your chest tightens. Not because of the silence, but because of what once filled it. A laugh that used to echo through this space. The sound of coffee brewing the way only they made it. The soft reminder they used to give as you left the house. These moments hit hardest, not because they hurt randomly, but because they matter. This is not just pain, it's love, echoing back through time, asking to be felt. Grief, seen through the lens of Stoic philosophy, is not something to suppress or escape. It's something to carry, not as a weight that crushes you, but as a memory that grounds you. The Stoics didn't deny emotion, they understood it. They didn't believe that crying made you weak or that sorrow should be hidden. Instead, they asked, "What will you do with this love now that the person is gone?" Because if grief is the price of love, then feeling it fully is proof that love was real. And that's the shift. Most people think healing means forgetting. But the truth is, real healing begins when you remember with presence, not to relive the pain, but to repurpose the love. Every small act of grief is an invitation. Not to return to the past, but to let the best parts of it live on in you. To speak with kindness because they once did. To slow down and enjoy a moment because they can no longer. To live a little more intentionally because someone you loved no longer has the chance. Grief doesn't end. It transforms. And that transformation becomes your strength. Think of the people you've lost, a parent, a friend, a partner. Their voice may be gone, but their impact isn't. You still remember the way they solved problems, the way they laughed at bad jokes, the way they held the family together without asking for recognition. Those traits didn't vanish, they became part of you. You inherited more than their memory. You inherited their energy, their lessons, and their quiet ways of loving. The Stoics believed that nothing truly belongs to us, not even the people we love. Everything in life is on loan, and when the time comes to give it back, we don't mourn the loss as theft. We honor the gift it was. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not say you have lost it, say only that you have returned it." That perspective doesn't remove pain, but it puts it into context. It teaches us to let go without bitterness and to continue without guilt. There is immense power in continuing, not in pretending the loss never happened, but in living a life that proves the love still exists. A man waters the same plant every morning because his late wife used to. A daughter carries her father's values into the way she raises her children. A friend keeps writing letters no one will read, just to stay connected to a brother who's gone. These actions seem small, but they're sacred. They're proof that grief, when honored, becomes action, and action becomes legacy. So when the next wave comes, the scent, the sound, the memory that brings you to tears, don't fight it. Don't shame it. Let it remind you that you loved someone so deeply. Their absence still moves your soul. Let it fuel you. Let it soften you. Let it push you to be who they believe you could be. Because grief is not the closing of a chapter. It is the echo of love still speaking, still shaping, still holding your hand long after goodbye. And when you live that way, you don't just carry their memory, you continue their presence. 6. When people drift away, let them go with peace. We'll always stick together, right? Of course. Why wouldn't we? You've heard that before. Maybe it came from a childhood friend you swore would be your best man. Maybe it was a colleague you used to laugh with during every late-night project. But now the calls are gone. The text stopped. Birthdays pass in silence. And in that quiet, something inside you asks, did I do something wrong? But perhaps the answer is simpler. You didn't do anything wrong. Life just took a turn. Their path split from yours, and no one warned you it was happening. In those moments of slow separation, it's easy to fall into resentment, to replay memories, to reach out and get nothing back, and feel smaller because of it. But Stoicism offers a different lens. It doesn't call every drift a betrayal. It doesn't label every silence as an insult. Instead, it tells us that every relationship has a season. Some people walk beside us through chaos. Some stay long enough to help us grow. And others only appear briefly, leaving a lesson, a shift, a moment of stillness. Their presence was not a mistake. Their leaving was not a failure, it was a transition. Think of the way trees shed their leaves. The branches don't cling, they release. And in that release, something beautiful happens. Space. Room for new growth. Room for sunlight. Room for strength to return. The people who once held your hand may not be here now, but that doesn't mean their touch has vanished. It simply means their chapter in your story has ended. And that's okay. The Stoics teach us to honor what was, without trying to keep it alive past its purpose. Holding on too long doesn't preserve the connection. It delays peace. The friend who used to text you every morning might now be a name you scroll past. That doesn't erase the laughter you shared, the comfort they gave, or the times they stood by you. What it does offer is perspective. Not everyone who walks with you was meant to stay. Some were only meant to walk you through a specific storm. And when the clouds cleared, they moved on. Let them. With peace, not bitterness. It's tempting to romanticize permanence, to believe that the people who mattered once should matter forever. But permanence is not the same as impact. A person can change your life in a single year, a single season, or even a single conversation. What they leave behind, insight, encouragement, a push towards self-worth, that remains even if they don't. So instead of mourning the distance, try thanking it. Not everyone was meant to finish the journey with you. Some were meant to turn you in the right direction before stepping aside. And yes, it hurts. Losing connection stings even when it happens slowly, but there is growth in letting go. When you release people who have drifted, you create space for clarity, for new bonds, for your own voice. You begin to realize that some people leave not to take something from you, but to return you to yourself. That's not a loss, that's realignment. So if someone has gone quiet, resist the urge to chase. If a friendship faded without closure, accept the silence as its own answer. Write down what they gave you, carry the lessons. Release the weight, because peace doesn't come from keeping everyone close, it comes from learning to let go without losing your center. In the end, those who drifted didn't disappear, they shaped you. And now you get to shape what comes next. Not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of respect for what was and strength for what's ahead. Let them go, with grace, with gratitude, with peace. 7. You do not need to catch up, you need to wake up. You scroll through your feed and see someone buying a house, another just got promoted, someone else is celebrating an anniversary or showing off their new car. And in that quiet moment, you glance at your own life and whisper, "What am I doing?" That creeping pressure builds, the sense that you're behind, that time is slipping, that you missed a turn everyone else somehow took. The instinct to catch up kicks in fast. You want to push harder, do more, prove that you're not falling behind. But here's the truth that Stoicism quietly places before you. If you're on the right path, then who are you really trying to chase? The idea that you're falling behind is built on a false belief that life is a race and everyone is headed toward the same finish line. But your path is yours. Your timing is yours. Your struggles, your lessons, your pace, all of them are unique. And the moment you wake up from the trance of comparison, you see what's always been true. You were never behind. You were just distracted. Distracted by timelines that weren't yours. Distracted by someone else's milestones. Distracted by a digital illusion where everyone appears ahead, but no one shows the price they paid to get there. The Stoics didn't believe in chasing. They believed in clarity. They believed in living deliberately, not urgently. The question is not, am I doing enough? The question is, am I doing what matters? And most of the time, what matters isn't flashy or loud. It's quiet, it's slow, it's internal. Waking up doesn't mean working harder. It means seeing your life with honesty, recognizing where you've been sleepwalking through someone else's expectations, and finally choosing to walk with your eyes open. When you try to catch up, you move fast, but not deep. You collect achievements, but lose yourself. You post smiles, but feel hollow. You push for more, but don't know why. But when you wake up, you move differently. You start your day not to impress, but to align. You build discipline not to compete, but to grow. You set boundaries not out of fear, but from self-respect. And slowly, your life begins to feel like your own again. The feeling of being left behind is only strong when you're disconnected from your values. The more you compare, the more you forget who you are. But when you stop looking sideways and look inward, clarity returns. You realize that what you envy in others might not even match what you want for yourself. You see that what they have doesn't cancel what you're building. You remember that the timeline you're on isn't broken, it's unfolding. Waking up means detaching from the noise. It means embracing emotional independence. It means asking better questions, like, what do I want to build that will still matter to me 10 years from now? Or what do I need to let go of to feel peaceful? These aren't easy questions, but they're the right ones. Because once you answer them, the need to chase fades. You're no longer sprinting to catch up. You're walking with intention. You're not driven by fear of missing out. You're anchored by a purpose only you can define. So the next time you feel that invisible pressure tighten around your chest, remember, it's not a sign you failed. It's a signal to wake up, not to move faster, but to move wiser. Not to be first, but to be true. Because when you live in alignment, not addiction to achievement, you find something far more powerful than momentum. You find meaning. And that's the only thing worth keeping pace with. Aging isn't failure. It's a shift in pace, in purpose, in perception. When you stop fearing what changes and start listening to what stays, you begin to live with depth. You realize your body isn't a burden, it's a messenger. That being forgotten frees you from the exhausting need to perform. That grief doesn't weaken you, it proves love's lasting presence. And that not everyone who leaves your life was meant to stay, but their departure made space for something greater. You. In a culture obsessed with youth, noise, and constant validation, Stoic philosophy reminds you to return inward. To embrace aging stoically is to detach from toxic comparison, to reframe your thoughts about what truly matters, and to age with purpose. Your calm, your presence, your emotional growth. These are not side effects of getting older. They are the rewards. So the next time you feel behind, ask yourself, what if I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be? You don't need to catch up. You just need to wake up. If this message speaks to your journey, share your thoughts below. Your story might help someone else find peace in theirs. And if you haven't already, like this video and subscribe for more Stoic tools to grow stronger through change.